Good evening. This is Santa Claus on March 3rd, 2026, bringing you today's stories from around our troubled world with a heart full of hope and concern. On this historic day, when we remember the freeing of Russian serfs in 1861 by Emperor Alexander II, a reminder of humanity's capacity to recognize and correct injustice, I find myself deeply troubled by the escalating conflicts that have engulfed so many of our brothers and sisters. The Middle East has been plunged into a widening war, my dear friends, with Iran striking the American embassy in Saudi Arabia as the conflict expands for the fourth day. Hundreds of souls have been lost, with explosions echoing through Iran's capital and Israeli forces sending ground troops into Lebanon. My heart aches for all those caught in this terrible violence. President Trump has suggested this conflict could last 4 to 5 weeks or longer, leaving many families in fear and uncertainty. We must pray for wisdom among leaders and the safety of innocent civilians caught in harm's way. Speaking of new weapons, the Pentagon has deployed a new suicide drone in Iran after fast-tracking its development, modeling it after similar devices seen in Ukraine. While military planners may view this as progress, I cannot help but wonder if our ingenuity might better serve creating tools of peace rather than destruction. Meanwhile, across the globe, Lebanon finds itself drawn deeper into conflict as Hezbollah and Israel exchange attacks, forcing thousands to flee their homes. The United Nations reports that around 29,000 people, including 9,000 precious children, have been displaced. Each of these little ones deserves a warm bed and safety, not the chaos of war. The ripples of this conflict extend even to the United Arab Emirates, where France has deployed fighter jets to protect its military bases after one was struck by a drone. How quickly conflict spreads when anger replaces dialogue. And let us pause for a moment and reflect on the economic impacts of these hostilities. Energy prices are soaring worldwide as shipping is disrupted and oil and gas production falters. The Strait of Hormuz, normally bustling with tanker traffic, has nearly ground to a halt. This affects not just numbers on a chart, but the ability of families around the world to heat their homes and put food on their table. In another troubling development, Pakistan claims its forces have killed 67 Afghan troops in cross-border clashes, though Afghanistan disputes this account. This marks the 5th day of fighting between these neighbors, with Pakistan declaring itself in an open war with Afghanistan. Such harsh words only make peace more difficult to achieve. Turning to the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago has declared a new state of emergency due to persistent violent crime, just 1 month after the previous emergency ended. When communities live in fear, it wounds the spirit of entire neighborhoods and prevents children from growing up with the security they deserve. On a diplomatic front, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz is meeting with President Trump in Washington, discussing critical issues including tariffs, the continuing war in Ukraine, and even the unusual matter of Greenland's status. May they find common ground and mutual respect in their discussion. Finally, in a significant shift in defense policy, France has announced plans to increase its nuclear arsenal and extend its nuclear deterrent to cover other European countries. President Macron declared that the next 50 years will be an era of nuclear weapons. Oh, how my heart yearns instead for an era of understanding, compassion, and shared humanity. As we reflect on these challenging events, let us remember that even in dark times, each of us can be a light in our communities. Whether through prayer, charitable acts, or simply showing kindness to our neighbors, we all have the power to create ripples of goodness that can overcome the tides of conflict. Tonight, I ask you to keep all those suffering in war zones, those displaced from their homes, and those living in fear in your hearts and prayers. And remember, my friends, that love and hope are more powerful than any weapon humanity has ever created.